What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I am joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate, how you doing?
Doing well. How about you, buddy?
I'm not doing too bad. Exciting day of baseball. Baseball season's right around the corner. Like always, we are getting even closer to pitchers and catchers reporting for spring training.
A
Blah
little
blah
over two
blah.
weeks.
Yep. Just 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks away. We got 17, 16 days now, I think, away
Pitchers
from.
and catchers report on the 14th, so you're looking at about 16 days.
I just said, yeah, 16 or 17 days. Yeah, that's like exactly what I just said. So
I just gave the actual answer instead of guessing, but it's fine.
depends on where you're at. So it could be 16 for some, could be 17 for some. So don't don't give me
It
that.
don't matter. Pitchers and catchers at least report in
Very
16 days.
very soon, and I'm very excited for this. Plus, we have big Angels. We have Angels news today, big Angels news, I'd say. Today, and the Angels signing an outfielder. But before we get there, just want to thank everybody so much for watching and listening. Go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that bell as well. Tell a friend about us too. Let them know what we got going on here. Let them know why you don't like negative Nate here. Let us know your thoughts on the off season so far for the Angels. If you're listening to us, go ahead and subscribe wherever you are listening to us. Leave us a review wherever you are listening as well. I promise you, I not watch, but I read all those reviews. I read all the comments on YouTube too. So leave us a comment. Let us know how you guys are feeling. You guys also want to follow us on all our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can follow myself at Jared_Tim's, Nate at NateGreen34, and let's get it rolling here. So, Nate, we got news in the Angels front today. Angels sign Aaron Hicks to a league minimum deal because the Yankees are paying him $8 million. By the way, at the time when the Yankees did sign him to the 8 for 80,
7 years, 7 for 70.
the 7 for 70, it was close. 8 for 80, 7 for 70. Really good deal, by the way. I think he was coming off the back-to-back really good years. He hasn't been the same guy since those back-to-back 2 good years. Put up a 2.7 WAR and then he put up a 4.3 WAR. Was one of the better players in baseball that year as well. If I'm not mistaken there. But just hasn't really been that same guy. However, in his last 4 seasons, um, in 2020, in the shortened 2020 season, he put up a 1.1 Fangraphs WAR. 2021, he put up a 0 WAR. 22, he put up a 1.5 WAR. Last year, he put up a 1.0 WAR. To get somebody like this on a league minimum deal, at least is a step in the right direction. You're not paying this guy any more than what you know than what the league minimum should be. I think it's $750,000 or around that range where the Angels will pay him. It makes him easy, and I hope that this doesn't happen, but it makes him easier to cut. That you're paying him the league minimum. So there's that as well. If something ends up happening, he doesn't play well, it does make him easier to cut. But other than that, I'm actually fairly excited. He's been a good hitter in the past. I know it's at Yankee Stadium, but he's been a fairly good hitter in the past. Was a good hitter last year for the Orioles. It seems he just thrives in spots where there isn't a lot of pressure. And you look at Anaheim this year, and you look at the Angels this year, I don't think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to really be that guy. In New York, you have a lot of pressure to be that guy. He was playing every day in center field and expecting to, be a center fielder, join guys like I think he actually um took over center field for Brett Gardner, who Brett Gardner was one of the better players for the Yankees in center field. Jacoby Ellsbury, Bernie Williams, those type of guys have played center field. It's a lot of pressure playing that position at Yankee Stadium. Same thing goes with shortstop at Yankee Stadium. You saw him go to the Orioles last year after being DFA'd. Did he get DFA'd by the Yankees? Or they just released?
Yes.
He got DFA'd by the Yankees. He ended up being a very valuable piece for the Orioles. Hit really well there. Was a really good team guy. And I think he brings that to the Angels as well, to a rather young core group of guys. And also he's a SoCal guy. Went to Woodrow Wilson there in Long Beach, so it's always fun to see the SoCal guys come back. But I'm excited. Again, it's a league minimum deal. He's not going to move the needle in any direction. It's some decently good depth as probably the fourth outfielder. We'll go over the Angels roster here shortly. But Nate, I want to get your thoughts on this, and I'll stop talking because I've talked a lot.
He did take over for Jacoby Ellsbury, so like
Hmm.
that was the guy he took over for. Brett Gardner, I think played a handful of games in center field, not really a center fielder. Um, I think it's a very interesting signing. So the Angels have kind of a logjam in the outfield right now. You've got Mickey Moniak, Joe Adell, Mike Trout, and Taylor Ward, and now you're adding Aaron Hicks as well. The concern for me that a lot of people are saying is like, well, it's not that money. We can cut him if we have to, and it's like the fact that you're bringing up we can cut him if we have to means you're expecting there's a possibility of him being a 175 hitter. Like that's scary to me. Uh, a lot of Angel fans have said that, not just you. I've heard it from a lot of people saying, well, it's league minimum. Worst case, you cut him. And it's like, okay, yes, you can cut him, but you're also taking away from somebody on the roster, whether that's Joe Dell, Mickey Moniak, whoever it is. Joe Dell is out of options. Like this is it for Joe Dell as an Angel. He either makes the squad or he's gone. And giving Aaron Hicks a deal right now makes it very, very unlikely that he's going to make this squad. It's possible that you carry 5 outfielders, which is fine because of the injuries that Mike Trout has had and being able to DH him and things like that. But now you're going to really take away at bats and opportunities from Joe Adell. Joe Adell is not going to get as many opportunities as he needs to show that he is a piece or he isn't a piece. I feel like that's the one thing with Joe Adell in his entire career. He really hasn't had that opportunity to be like, hey, go play for a month straight, find out if you're actually a player or not. And if you're not, that's fine. But he just really hasn't had that opportunity where it's like, hey, go play every single day and find out if you can handle every day at bat. So that's one of my concerns with Aaron Hicks is you're going to be taken away from Joe Adell. Most likely Joe Adell is going to be traded or DFA'd at some point this year. Um, and just how many times have the Angels actually been able to pull this off where they go get a guy on this kind of deal and he's a position player that has paid off well for the Angels? Typically, it goes the other way where it goes the complete opposite way, and the guy ends up getting DFA'd, like you guys have mentioned. Um, so that's my one concern with this is the Joe Adell factor, Mickey Moniak factor, because he's a veteran. Like what if Aaron Hicks is playing well, there's a chance that Mickey Moniak doesn't see time in the lineup if he struggles early. Joe Adell could be DFA'd. Like there are some things. He does play center field, which is nice. So if Trout goes down, he makes sense for teams as a fourth outfielder. Um, I he just doesn't make sense on the Angels team because the Angels are still missing a very, very important bat in this lineup. Like this offense is not good enough to compete for anything right now. And I know we talked about this last week where we said are the Angels like playoff contenders. I said they're a bat away and probably a pitcher away from really being a playoff contender. And the pitcher doesn't need to be Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery. It needs to be somebody who can compete and give them innings. But the biggest thing for this team is they need an offensive threat in the order because right now, if you look at it, opening day, the lineup could be something like Trout 2, Rendon 3, and Ward and Hicks 4, 5, and that's not exactly striking fear into many pitchers' minds when they look at the way Rendon's played lately, the way Ward's coming off the injury, and Aaron Hicks's career, how it ended with the Yankees. Like that could be a really tough 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know Angel fans are gonna say, well, Logan O'Hoppe could hit 40 and Zach Neto could be an all-star. And like, yeah, all those things could happen. But we're penciling in numbers for guys that have never done things before. And I'd rather see them succeed before we start penciling them in as, everyday all stars. And that's kind of what it feels like the Angels are doing. It's like, hey, we'll go cheap here. We'll pencil some of these guys in as everyday all star type players. And, if they hit, we're going to be really good. If they don't hit, well, then, we're just going to it's the band-aid that we've been putting on for the last 8 years of, hey, we'll just stick this guy on the team and he'll be a band-aid because we don't have the prospects to take over for this position. So I feel like it's a very cheap thing the Angels did. It feels like a very normal Angels move. It brings me back to the Trey Turner last year where it's like go get a guy that really fits this team. And I think Cody Bellinger is the only guy that really fits this roster that's still available offensively. And people are going to say, what about JD Martinez or Jorge Soler? And I don't really think the Angels can afford to have a DH only. I think it doesn't help them long term. I don't think it helps them short term. I think you need a guy who's going to be able to hit in the middle of the lineup, that's going to be able to play some sort of position. I think that's Cody Bellinger. And I think he's really the only guy on the market that is going to be a possibility of a 130, 170 WRC plus, be able to play the field 120, 130 games out throughout the year, and just be a guy who's been there, done that before. I don't know. Is there a guy that I'm not thinking of that could do that?
Off the top of my head, no. But if you're at home playing the drinking game, how many times will Nate mention Cody Bellinger tonight? That's your first shot.
First one, I mentioned him like 8 times in that one sentence, but like
No, no, you're not wrong. There Angels need an impact. I mean,
we
so
can't run out Mickey Moniak and Aaron Hicks and hope like
no.
if we're running Mickey Moniak out in the 5 hole to open like opening day, it's a problem
Yeah, no, I mean we tend to find that like that
every
guy,
year.
yeah,
Where
every year where it's like, hey, if this guy's on it was
why
for
is
me.
this guy hit? Why is Matt Duffy hitting fourth to lead to opening day? Like why is this guy hitting fourth or fifth on opening day? Like I feel like that happens every single year, and that's not how you win games. That's not how you end up in the playoffs. Like you look at these teams that are playoff teams, and you look at their opening day lineups. For the most part, they're 1 through 5 or 6. It's like, yeah, those are household names. Those are really good players. And then you have like 7, 8, 9, and you might have 1 or 2 where it's like, that guy's going to get replaced by June or July or August by a prospect or a trade piece. But for the most part, you're seeing the dudes play, and that's one thing that I think the Angels are missing is a key piece in this lineup. Whether it's fill in the blank with who, but I don't think it's a DH only in JD Martinez or Jorge Soler.
Yeah, no, and those guys haven't really been like the centerfold of any teams either, of late. Where they're going to be batting right behind Mike Trout more than
JD
likely.
kind of was in Boston two
I
years
mean,
ago.
yeah, I guess, but I mean that was again also 2 years ago playing in an extremely hitter friendly ballpark. Well, all that being said, you also I know somebody's out there who's going to be like, you miss somebody. You miss mentioning Brandon Drury, who I know isn't in a crazy impact bat, but he at the moment, I guess he's probably your four hitter. You move Rendon into that 5 hole.
I
It's
guess, but that's still
it's not
not
an
a
impact.
that's
It's
not a
not great.
fun number four hitter. Like
I'd
that's
rather see Drury in the 5 hole. Like in all honesty, I'd rather see somebody else in that 4 hole. Man, I just don't. I don't know. Like again. I mean,
if you're looking at this team and you're saying that Brandon Drury's hitting 4 or 5, like it's not a great look. Like you look at the playoff teams. I won't even bring up the Dodgers, but like Atlanta. Atlanta's 1 through 7 or 8 is ridiculous. That's a team that's trying to win a
That's
World Series.
that took years. That took years to build that, though. That's the thing. Like you started with Acuna and you started with Ozzy, and then you went and you're like, well, we need it. We need a catcher. Let's go get the dude from who'd they go get? They got
They got Sean Murphy from Oakland,
Sean Murphy. Like, oh man, we need a first baseman. All right, let's go get a first
Matt
baseman. You go
Olson.
get Matt Olson.
Yeah, but they had
So
Freddie Freeman already. Like
yeah,
they got Matt Olson because Freddie Freeman left. So like they already had they've done a really good job of building their roster from the time like they haven't really had their lulls in offensive output. They kind of have done a really good job of like, hey, Chipper was about to leave, Freddie Freeman comes in, they throw in Albies, they throw in Acuna. They had Hayward, who was playing really well, who was a top prospect, who they were like, okay, he's leaving, Acuna takes his spot. Um, they just seem to have done a really good job of like, oh, this guy is about to
got
leave, and they
Dansby.
find that right guy at the right time. Where the Angels haven't really done that. They've kind of have missed. And I know everyone's going to say, well, we're not Atlanta. We aren't Atlanta. You're right. Look at Toronto. Toronto's 1 through 5 or 6 is going to be like a very good 1 through 5 or 6. The Yankees are going to be a really good 1 through 7 or 8. Like their lineup is loaded. Um, Texas is 1 through 5 or 6 is loaded. Like these teams that are fighting for playoff spots. Like there's not even I didn't even name like Atlanta's a for sure playoff team, right? But like New York, Toronto, Texas, none of these teams are for sure in the playoffs going into next year. They're all going to have to fight just like everyone else. It's not like I'm naming Houston where it's like, okay, like we haven't had a
Yeah.
year where Houston isn't in the playoffs in the
Seattle,
last. Yeah,
Baltimore,
Seattle's got a
Tampa
good
Bay.
a good roster. Like I
Well,
don't know if it's like crazy good. Like it's probably pretty similar to the Angels offensively, but then you go and you talk about the pitching and you go, wow, that's a top three pitching staff in baseball where the Angels are hoping they're a top seven pitching staff in the American League.
yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. I mean, it brings up a good point. The rest of the AL West is getting better. The Angels just seem to be staying stagnant, which isn't crazy. It takes one day, for the Angels to all of a sudden get better. But I don't, man, with the way this offseason's going, we'll see. We'll very much so see. I'll say this, you don't need to contribute to this conversation, but I'm not giving Snell that the money that he wants. That doesn't move the needle.
4 years.
Or
He want like the fact that he's asked for 9 years is
it sounds like he's close.
outrageous.
It sounds like he's closer to the 5 year mark right now. I don't think he wants to pitch
I
that.
think if he was, I don't understand why he didn't take the Yankees deal then.
I don't know. I mean,
Because
well,
I felt like that was probably the number he should get. And yeah, that and then the Montgomery thing, like Montgomery in a perfect world is a number three, and you're gonna pay him. He's a really good number three. He's a pretty good number two, and you're gonna pay him to be an ace, which he's not an ace. Like yeah, he pitched good in the postseason, but he's not an ace. He's a guy that like when he gets to the postseason, he seems to figure it out. But like he's a guy that's gonna have his ups and downs throughout the regular season, throw up a 3.5, 3.6 ERA, which is good, but it's not like take the ball against Garrett Cole, take the ball against Justin Verlander, Framber Valdez, and you're like, hey, we like our chances today. It's like we are the underdogs of this game. We have to hope that we hit way better than whoever we're playing.
yeah, yeah. So everybody's getting better. The Angels, it just feels like are staying stagnant. On that note, I'm excited about Aaron Hicks. Does it move the needle? Probably not. So bringing back SoCal kid, you're bringing in some depth. It doesn't help out the Joe Adell situation. I agree with you. He hasn't gotten it. He's Joe Adell, and people don't like when we say this, but Joe Adell really has not gotten an opportunity. We were really hoping, especially talking with him on a previous podcast, that he was gonna, get the opportunity. With this Aaron Hicks signing, it just doesn't feel like he is. Especially if you think you're gonna get maybe make a push at Cody Bellinger. So we'll see how the rest of the offseason goes. I'm extremely we'll see. I don't know. I I just don't know where they're gonna go after this. So with all that being said though, I do want to go over the roster because it is kind of coming together a little bit. You are starting to see like some of the needs that the Angels have. Some of the position battles that are going to be going on. So we'll just kind of just go over this a little bit here. Um, if you're running out 13 position players, 13 pitchers, which probably is what the Angels end up running out. Behind the plate is Ohapi and Thice. Thice is out of options, so you honestly have to go Thice. At first base right now is Nolan Shanwell. Second base, Luis Renifo. Shortstop, Zach Neto. Third base, Anthony Rendon. In the outfield, you go Ward, Trout, and Moniak. It just seems like Perry is going to be pushing Mickey Moniak, and Moniak really has a spot unless said otherwise. DHing, you go Brandon Drury, which now that is what 10 players, 9 players right there. Then you have 4 more bench spots between
You
um,
have 10. You've named 10 because you named Thice and Ohapi. So you
yeah,
have three bench spots.
you have 3 bench spots, and guys on the 40 man is Adams, Adele, Paris, Soto, Stefanik, and Aaron Hicks. You assume Hicks is making the team, which leaves 2 spots, probably 1 outfield spot, 1 infield spot. You could go Adele and Paris. I'm assuming that the Angels get deeper, and then not on the 40 man, you have Hunter Dozier, Charlie LeBlanc, Richie Martin, Evan White, who is not on the 40 man, which I thought he was on the 40 man, but
No,
uh,
they took him off right when they traded for him.
yeah, Willie
Oh, actually,
Calhoun.
he wasn't on the 40 man when they traded for him. That's why.
Willie Calhoun, Jake Marisnik, who could take a spot if needed there, Orlando Martinez and Miguel Sano. So it's starting to come together. You start seeing like the Angels are going to probably need somebody in the outfield. That's going to be a spot that they'll battle for, and then you see the Angels. do have some depth at first base now. Not a lot, but do have some depth. But beyond that point, we'll just kind of see where it goes. Everything else kind of seems to be pretty straightforward as position player goes. I don't know if you want have anything to say there. I know in the outfield is it's man, it's not a good roadblock or not a good jam. Like I like when the Angels have depth, but when you have to get rid of Joe Adell, first round pick, top prospect who really hasn't gotten a shot, or you might have to get rid of him at some point is kind of tough for me, I think. So
Yeah, I think you're also looking for a utility guy, a guy who could play second, short, and third. Um, you're still looking at Kike Hernandez, potentially a Brandon Crawford. I Tim Anderson's probably out of the price range and won't do it, but Ahmed Rosario is a possibility. He could play second short. Probably he could play the outfield as well. So I think you're looking at one more infielder because they need it. You don't really want to start the year with Kyron Paris or Mikey Stefanik on the roster. Um, and then I think that they go cheap on the offensive side and they try and spend some money on the pitching side. And I could see them spending a lot of money on Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell and just, us coming back on here in 2 weeks going, "What? They gave Blake Snell 9 years and $30 million a year? Like, what are we doing?" But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully if it's Blake Snell, hopefully it's closer to that 6 year mark at 22 million a year or something like that. But I don't know. We'll wait and see. But it, not a huge fan of this move just because of the roadblocks it brings up for this team. And does it take him out of the Cody Bellinger market? Because do you need an extra outfielder at this point? I don't think so. I think this kind of takes him out of that market.
nah, I don't
And
think so.
and now you run into the JD Martinez, Jorge Soler market. And if the Angels sign a true DH only, I am going to lose it.
Which will be a real fun day. I don't think this takes him out of the Cody Bellinger. I don't think it will. I don't think it takes you out of the Cody Bellinger sweepstakes if you're thinking that you're competing this year, which it seems like the Angels aren't rebuilding.
But then you're moving somebody, right? You just said that Mickey Moniak is being pushed as a guy who has a job, right?
I,
So that
I
means you're
mean,
moving Ward
if you can get somebody that moves the
or
needle,
Moniak,
that's the thing. If you can get somebody that moves the needle, like I don't expect the Angels to go out and sign Bobby or
Eddie
Cole
Rosario,
Calhoun in the outfield. Like I don't
Eddie
expect them to go
Rosario,
sign who
Eddie Rosario.
Eddie. Yeah, yes, I don't expect
That
them to go sign that
that's
guy in the outfield that just like takes up a spot like that. Like if you're gonna go sign
Adam
somebody in the outfield,
Duvall.
if you're gonna go sign some, Adam Duvall. Like that was the one guy somebody asked me today. Like they're like, "Well, does this take them out of the Adam Duvall sweepstakes?" I'm like, "Yes, probably because Adam Duvall fills that same hole that Aaron Hicks does. I don't think it
Yep.
takes them out of the Cody Bellinger sweepstakes only because Cody Bellinger is a 3 tiers higher level than than anybody else on this on like
But you understand what I'm
Cody
saying? Like,
Bellinger's
if you sign Cody Bellinger, you're moving Mickey Moniak or you're moving
and those
Taylor
guys are
Ward.
move those guys are movable for Cody Bellinger. Like you're not moving those guys for Adam Duvall or somebody like that. Like that's the difference there. So
I get
like
it, but
it's the
are you
same thing
getting
as
anything in return from those guys?
it's the same thing as if like you were to have like a surplus of pitching or like let's say the Angels sign
No, you can
let's
always have pitching.
well, I do agree. And you're gonna I know your answer to this. But if the Angels sign Blake Snell, right? Like
Bye,
you,
Tyler.
you're going to say bye Tyler Anderson. They're not going to get rid of Tyler Anderson. Like that's not going to be the way that they go. They're going to have to either not have Chase Silseth in the rotation or you're
Terrible idea.
trading Griffin Canning. So like that again, both those guys are
I
movable
have
for
watched
Blake Snell.
I have watched 7 teams trade Tyler Anderson's contract and similar players to Tyler Anderson, and the Angels are like, you know what? Our rotation's good. We're fine with it. I have watched Marco Gonzalez be traded twice. I have watched Anthony DeSclafani be traded twice. And those guys have similar contracts to Tyler Anderson and are similar pitchers to Tyler Anderson. DeSclafani's probably a little bit better than Tyler Anderson, a little bit better track record, but I have watched all these guys get traded, and you're like, how?
I'm not
How?
saying that the Angels aren't trying to trade Tyler Henderson. I'm just saying that they
But you
have
get what I'm
more.
saying, right? Like
Yes, I get it. It's not in the plan.
Marco Gonzalez has been traded not once, but twice.
I
Two
get it.
teams were willing to take that contract.
I totally get it. I totally get it. Okay, don't have too much more time. I want to go over the starting pitching. I know it again. Cody Bellinger moves the needle, so it doesn't take him out of the market. Like if the Angels, same thing goes here. If the Angels were to sign Cody Bell or not Cody Bellinger, Mike Clevenger, right? It doesn't take them out of the Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery sweepstakes. It just
Why would you
makes
sign
them,
Blake?
you
Why
get
would
what
you
I'm saying.
sign Mike Clevenger?
You get what I'm saying. So starting pitching wise right now, you go Sandoval, Detmers, Canning, Anderson, Silseth. Some options: Bachman, Kahanowitz, Maderos, Plesac, Rosenberg. I think they got to get deeper there as well. Um, some guys not on the 40 man. You go Erla, Mason Erla, who I really like, Brett Carey, and then Angel. Rangel is his name. They signed him early in the offseason. And then from the bullpen standpoint, they've gotten better. I don't think they've gotten great in the bullpen. It's still very worrisome to me in the bullpen, but you go Estevez, Luis Garcias, Ben Joyce, Jose Soriano, Robert Stevenson, Matt Moore, Adam Simber, and Jose Suarez, I believe, because he's out of options. I know you shake your head, but he's out of options. Some more
Well,
options.
it's okay to get rid of Joe Adele when he's out of options, but we got to hold on to Jose
It's
Suarez
the
because
same.
he's out of
It's
options. Like,
it's the
come
same
on,
thing.
give me a
No, it's the
break.
same thing. It's the same thing as Adele. Like
Give me a break.
it's the same thing as Adele. I'd argue that Jose Suarez has gotten more of a chance than Joe Adele's gotten.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely. Jose Suarez has gotten 3 months to suck at baseball.
Yeah.
Joe Adele has gotten 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, yeah. Yeah, that's all I have to say is yeah. So you got some options here in the bullpen: Kelvin Caceres, Davis Daniel, Jimmy Herget, Andrew Wantz. It's not deep there with guys not on the 40 man. So that bullpen's going to be
I
that.
think the
We'll,
bullpen's
we'll,
fine. There's you're deep
we'll talk
enough.
about that with the starting rotation going. You're gonna need some depth in the bullpen. I don't think the
Don't
Angels
worry,
quite have
Jose
that.
Suarez will be able to throw 5 innings,
All right,
twice a week, and
all
it'll
right.
be fine.
So and then guys not on the 40 man. Tyrone Guerrero.
Mhm.
It's not Tyrone. Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Um, Aaron Hernandez, Jonesy's the guy down. Nick Jones is the guy. Adam Kollerick, Luis Lito, Tyler McGregor, Jose Marte, Taylor Thomas, Eric Torres, and watch out for Kenyon Yovan in spring training. I think he's going to get every chance to make the bullpen as well. So man, I don't know, man. Like this is it's tough. The Angels need to get better, and there's not a lot of ways that they're able to get better. So, you got any final thoughts before we let everybody go?
Nope. Typical Angels off season, typical Angel moves. Well, what else is new?
We'll see, man. Like I don't know. It's at least so I'll say this before I let everybody go. At least they are young and kind of fun, right? Like at least they're not well, at least they're not throwing out guys
We
that
just threw out Joe Adele, who's 26, for a 35-year-old
Joe Dell's
Aaron
not 26 years old.
27.
Joe Dell's not 27. Joe Dell's 23 years old, man. He's not very old.
Oh,
You think he's a lot older than that. He's
that
not.
and that makes it worse because we just brought on Aaron Hicks, who's 34, turning 35,
I'm just saying that
and we're getting rid of Joe Adele, the young fun guy, for the old guy who wanted to go play and he wanted to go play golf last year. He did go play golf.
all right. We'll see. I'm just saying, at least they're somewhat young, they're somewhat fun. So you never know where they're gonna go. You never know what Ron Washington's gonna do with them. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Go ahead and follow us on our social medias, X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can follow myself at Exit Jared _Tim's, Nate at Nate Green 34. Guys, have a great rest of your night.